Da 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 do da 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 do da 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 dee da 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 da. Where's my little sizey thingy? Steffi, my sizey thingy's missing. Oh, there it is. Found it. Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling, winning Wednesday. I almost came out sounding like whining Wednesday. Now, we want a winning Wednesday. Although, if you do partake of that libation, you might call it a whining Wednesday. Who knows? Anyway, how has your day been? It has been an awesome day here. We got a lot done today. Started the day off with my accountability call. And started off with the training session first, then my accountability call, where I got to set some really cool goals for the month. Got one set up for the month, along with a smaller step in the middle to help me get the biggest step along the way. So, yes, I always love my accountability calls because my accountability coach is awesome. Can't say enough about my accountability coach because she is on it. And she knows me, and she pushes me, and prods me, and stretches me, and makes me grow, for which I am extremely grateful. Sorry, I just had clutter. And then so the accountability call is vitally important when you're building a business or when you're part of a business or anything, because it helps you. If you've got somebody who has absolutely no vested interest in your business apart from the fact they're interested in it, then being accountable to them, having to know that every Wednesday at 9:00 I've got to get on the phone and talk to my accountability coach, and I'm like, oh, it means I have to do what I've got to do. Otherwise, I've got to get on there and go, well, I didn't do it this week because, and then the excuses come out. And today we're talking about the Little Naysayer, and you guys heard all about the Little Naysayer over the weekend and stuff. That little voice that sits on your shoulder and says, no, we're not going to do that. You're too tired. We're not doing it. No, not going to happen. And so I was telling her about this Little Naysayer from the weekend. And she just sat there and cracked up laughing. But, she also said it was good that I was able to break through and do it anyway and ignore the naysayer. So it was very interesting listening to her with that. So the accountability call, then the rest of the day was a lot of productivity got done. A lot of stuff got crossed off to-do lists. My creativity was going through the roof. I have a notepad that sits here next to me now, and it's just an ideas pad. That's all it is. Ideas just keep getting written down. Like if I'm helping somebody through the chat, and I am in their account, and I'm looking at something that they're trying to send. It could be that there's a flash of inspiration comes because I see a product that they're sending out as a gift. And I'm like, oh, that's a really cool, and it's something that I have seen multiple times before. And I'm like, well, that's a really cool gift. Oh, what if we, and it's stuff that you've seen time and time and time again. And she's, and he or she may be using one as on the product, using one of the designs from the design store. Occasionally it's a product they've designed themselves, but it's just the actual product itself that I look at and go, oh, I could do that with that. I could do that. So it's quickly jot those notes down and then get back to work again. So yeah, make sure you got your idea pads with you handy all the time, because inspiration is going to hit you anyway. And remember, we are helping you tell your story. That is going to be my theme for at least the rest of the year, possibly into next year as well, but definitely for the rest of the year. Is helping you tell your story, because your story is important to someone, whether it's someone who is alive now, somebody who is not going to be alive for another 20, 30, 40 years, or 100 years, 150 years, 172. We need to get your story written down. So the idea of carrying around an idea notebook is, and it doesn't have to be an expensive book either, is just so that you can jot down, as those memories hit, you can jot them down. And you don't have to have, the questions we're giving you are prompts to help you think of things. Oh, I never thought of that. Oh, what about, oh yeah. It's when a writer, I have a book, I actually have it electronically, even though it is a nonfiction book. I have it electronically, and it's like 1,001 writing prompts. And I can go in there and I can choose any one of the prompts and just do some writing on that. Come up with a story about it, about whatever it is. And so it helps generate that. So asking these questions about your story, about your life, is designed to help you recall things. Like when I'm looking at there's a big list of questions. Just to give you a heads up, there is a lot of questions. Remember, we're taking this through to at least the end of the year. And we're only at the beginning of August. So we've got all of August, September, October, November, December. So we've got 5 months to the end of the year. There's a lot of questions out there that you could be asking about your life. And I have a whole stack of them. And we're going to be feeding them to you every day. You'll get a new question about your life. And the idea of the questions is just to be a memory jogger. And you suddenly remember stuff and you'll start going and writing things down. So with that, before I head off, because I've got to go WALK, the DOG, who is currently on patrol. Yes, she's getting very good now when I call her and tell her to get on patrol. Well, this time she came out of her crate, came over and saw me, and I pointed up front and says, go get on patrol. And I told her she was a good girl, told her to go get on patrol. So she just trots down and jumps up there and looks all around and then looks at me and says, so what am I supposed to be looking for? And now she's laying there with her head facing the windscreen, just looking out, just seeing what's going on, because this is the time when there's people out walking, there's vehicles moving up and down the street because people are coming home from their day out or whatever. So, there's a lot of activity around this time of the day, so it gives us something else to look at. But anyway, see, there's a story that can go into my little storybook about having fun with Zephy and training her. So your question today is, what is one obstacle you have overcome? And what did you do to celebrate? So think about that. We come across all sorts of things. If you watched this morning's one, you would have heard about my obstacles of being told I would not get into the Air Force by a guidance counselor at high school. Remember, this is back in 1983 that conversation took place, when I made the decision in 1981 that I was going to join the Air Force. And that was it. The decision was done. The decision was made. And May 1st, 1984 is when I was sworn into the Royal New Zealand Air Force. So you'll hear about that story. If you go back and watch Day 735, Part 1, you'll hear that story. But, what obstacles have you overcome in your lifetime? And there's, if you think about it, there's a lot of obstacles you overcome. It's, setting your heart on something and working towards that goal and achieving that goal. What did you do to celebrate when you achieved that goal? It could be you went through trying times, like, for example, me dealing with my husband with cancer and then his eventual passing. And now and so I've basically gone from one obstacle to another. And during his journey with cancer, we had obstacle after obstacle after obstacle with different medical challenges that kept coming up with him. And so there was a lot of challenges we had during that time. And it was, and basically our reaction was, when we got through that medical challenge, it was sort of like, now we can get back to treatments again. Or, I'm glad that's over. It was, for us, it was just sit down, put the feet up and just go, we made it through. Or we got that sorted, or we overcame it, we got it done. And then I turned to him and said, don't go doing this, again, that caused it. There were those lectures as well. But, even when you're going through an obstacle like a long-term illness, a terminal illness, when you're going through those, you're going to come up against challenges all the time. There's going to be obstacles after obstacles after obstacles. With Brad, it was medical issue after medical issue after medical issue. You get through one, and then you sort of sit back and relax, and then at some point in the next 24 to 72 hours, there'll be that little spark that comes up and goes, okay, what are we going to hit next? And I kept trying to push that back and push it out of my head. I was trying to get the naysayer to go, we're not going to have any problems now. We're good. We're getting healthy. We're getting stronger. But I also thought, our animals, our pets, our dogs, go through obstacles as well. They want a treat. They have to do something to be, treat is their reward. This is what you have to do. If I tell you to sit, you have to sit. Then you get your treat. If I tell you to come here, you come here and you get your treat. So think about when you're training an animal, about how it's, you give the command, they do the action, they get the retreat. The obstacle for them is they have to figure out exactly what it is you want them to do. The obstacle for you is how best do you communicate to the dog what you want them to do. And that's why there is amazing trainers out there that show you how to break it down step by step to help you get through. But it's always fun when Zephy just surprises me at times with how she will pick up things really fast. Like, for example, I taught her to stand on her back legs and called it, up and dance. And it wasn't until I was carrying her treats from the shower down to the driver's seat where they stay when we're parked, that she got on her back leg. She popped up on her back legs by herself. She stuck her nose against that crate and just started walking backwards down the back of down towards the front of the RV until she basically hit the engine hump, and then she dropped down to the ground. She taught herself to walk backwards on her hind legs. I just taught her how to get up on them. The term buckle up that we have with her, she gets her harness on when we get to go moving and stuff, and I've got her little seatbelt buckle there, and it's long enough that she can get on the passenger seat or she can get down on the floor onto her bed between the seats. But again, I just one day said to her, I says, come on, buckle up, and she came running over, sat on the engine hump, and waited while I hooked her seatbelt up to her harness. And I was like, wow. So, things I think that I'm going to have a challenge with Zephy turn out not to be a challenge, but sometimes it's the more simpler things with her, like getting her to sit. She gets so excited that there's a treat involved with this, that she sits and then lays down. I go, no, I did not want you to lay down. I wanted you to sit. And trying to communicate that to her, because she's looking for her treat because she sat, but then she went and laid down. She didn't stay sitting. So it's trying to communicate to her, no, you want the treat, you have to sit and you have to stay seated. So, we come across obstacles, but it's persist with training. It is persistence. So, what other obstacles have you overcome? Have you been in a car accident? What was the outcome of that? Were you without your car? I had my car totaled one day, and I wasn't even in it or anywhere near it. I was at work, and my mum called me and said, your car has been in an accident. And I'm like, and my first question to my mum is, are you okay? Because I'd left the car with her for to use that day. I was living with my parents at the time. She said, I fortunately had just gotten back from shopping, and she had parked up, so she was half on the road and half on the grass verge out there by the curbing. And then you had the footpath, and then you had the property. And quite often cars would park up on that grass edging, half the car up there, because our street was so narrow that if you got cars on either side, you literally were down to one lane of traffic. And across from our place, there was a big park over there. In the wintertime, they had football or soccer. Football as in soccer, not football as in American gridiron, but football as in soccer. And in the summertime, they had the softball clubs up there. And the softball guys were the worst ones for parking. But the soccer, you could always tell who was what teams were playing up there by how the cars were parked. Believe it or not, you could drive up and go, oh, softballers are here. And you can drive on other days and you go, oh, somebody's having a function. Wonder if the soccer players are here. It was night and day difference when it came to parking. So people would park up on the grass, not the whole car, just half a car. And the dental nurse from the school across the road came out of the driveway and said a bee got in around her, so she pushed back, at the same time pushing her foot down on the accelerator, came down the driveway, around the corner, and straight into the corner of my car. And it was bad enough that it moved it from in front of my mum and dad's house to across the driveway of the next door neighbor's driveway. And even the police and all of that were amazed, because they said, had my mum parked fully on the road, they said the dental nurse was very lucky that my mother had parked how she had, because had she parked fully on the road, it very likely could have been a fatal accident. So it's just those little things. And so my celebration was, I got a new car. I loved Big Bird. Don't get me wrong. Big Bird was a yellow Ford Cortina, and I loved Big Bird. But, the insurance paid out on everything, although they didn't fully assess everything. Luckily, I have a dad who knows his vehicles. He turns around and says, well, on your report, do they have about this, 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 and this? So I called him up and said, on the report, it's missing. You don't have in there that this here is cracked. You don't have this on the report. You don't have this on the report, or this. And we gave them a list of the stuff that they had missed. And because they were actually going to repair it, they actually ended up writing it off. And that's when I got the Swedish Chef. He was a little white Holden Barina. In case you haven't figured out, and you haven't been following, I typically name my vehicles after Muppets. And Animal was my last Muppet vehicle. It was a 2005 Subaru Forester. And then when I got Sparkles, which is my RV, Sparkles is a Fleetwood Bounder. And if you've ever seen the Fleetwood Bounder logo, it is Kanga and Roo from Winnie the Pooh. And I looked at that and I thought, well, this cannot get a Muppet name with Winnie the Pooh characters on my RV. So Sparkles it became, and that was the breaking point from the Muppets. And now I have Bluebird, and Bluebird was a car from a dream. No, a name that came to me when I was journaling one night. I was journaling one night, now it came, yeah, my next car's going to be called Bluebird, and this is how much I'm going to pay for it, and pretty much came, yep, it didn't matter what color my car was going to be, it was going to be called Bluebird. And so now I have a blue car called Bluebird. So, yes, my Muppet days are over. So I had, let's see, what cars did I have? I had Big Bird, the Swedish Chef. Then I had Oscar, the Grouch. That was a minivan. It was a dark green minivan. Then I had, that's when I got Animal after that. And Brad had a dark blue Yukon, which I called Grover the Beast. It was a beast to drive, I tell you. So that was all my Muppet names. But anyway, totally digressed. I'm out of here. I got to go WALK, the DOG. Fortunately, she hasn't figured out how to spell yet. And she will be popping up in about the next 5 minutes to come over and see what I'm doing. But anyway, so your question for today, please go journal it down. What is one obstacle you have overcome, and what did you do to celebrate? And you don't have to stop at one obstacle. If you can think of different challenges you have overcome during your lifetime, write them down and go back and fill them in later. Just write them as a memory jogger. Write down those memory joggers. That's all these questions are designed to do, is to jog the memory so you can go and tell your story for future generations to come, or for people right now who might need to hear it. Anyway, that's it. I'm out of here for the day. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch up with you guys tomorrow morning. And I just have a comment here from Katie Hunter. It says, interesting stories. My daughter named her first car Steve. Excellent. What's the story behind Steve? See, there's another story you can go tell. Why did I start naming my cars Muppets? It just seemed to fit at the time. It's just what popped into my head. So I'll be interested to know what Katie's daughter, why she called her first car Steve. So if you do name your cars, why do you give them the names that you give them? How did you come up with names for your kids? Oh, I'm giving away all my questions. Damn it. Okay, I'm out of here. Have a super fantastic sparkling rest of your winning Wednesday, and we'll catch you guys back here bright and early tomorrow morning for Thankful Thursday. Hey, konara.